Today's topic: what's your frame of reference? Hi, I'm Doug Holt, author of Your Own Story, and this is your daily growth hack, where each day we give you a tip, trick, or insight to help you uplevel what we call the 5 to thrive. That is your mind, your body, your soul, your relationships, and your business. So today I want to talk to you about your frame of reference. And what is your frame of reference, consciously or subconsciously, in your 5 to thrive? You see, we picked the 5 to thrive because we believe that's a holistic representation of what could possibly become your story, allow you to become the author of your own story and touch each of these 5 areas. So, frame of reference, what it is what is your frame of reference of what's acceptable or what your standards are? Now, oftentimes we set our standards subconsciously a lot lower than we think. And it really takes some diving into, some deep diving to see what that is. Now, something happened to me the other day is I told someone, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to the gym because that's what I do. And they thought, well, man, Doug, you're just not sleeping as well. You got a newborn, you got a new business, you got other businesses that you're running, you moved your location. Give yourself some slack. Something's got to give. Well, you see, their frame of reference was different than mine when it comes to body. My frame of reference was I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this because for me, it's not acceptable not to. For me, the author of my story, the man that I am and the man that I am becoming, he gets up at that time and he works out in the morning. And that's exactly what I did. And it didn't take a struggle for me to do it. It just, my frame of reference was different than theirs. Simple as that. I have another client, right? I'm working with him. When I first started working with him, his story, what he was stupid. Now I've talked about him before in these daily growth hacks, so you may remember him, and he listens to these, so I'll say hi, but I won't give his name. But his frame of reference was he was stupid. That was his story. He's just not smart, and he was intimidated being around other smart people. However, he was around smart people all the time. And so one thing I had him do is after we were working for a while, I said, hey, look, let's change that. Let's change your frame of reference. Can you list just 5 reasons that someone could say you're smart? Now, he really struggled with this. And then I talked to him. I was like, look, do you think I'm smart? And he did, which surprised me. but he did. And I said, well, gosh, you can build a hotel. You can build houses. Like you look at construction. You can look at the walls. You can look at things that I just don't understand. You seem extremely smart to me. And we have conversations about philosophy, about life. They don't come across. You have great insights. And he stopped for a second and was like, wow, that's right, Doug, I do. People are always commenting, on my work and the things that I do, the architectural work that I do. He's working at the top hotels in the world. And we were talking about this. And so his frame of reference, I said, look, can you come up with 5 things, 5 reasons to raise your frame of reference, to raise your reference from being stupid to actually being smart? And so it took a second. Then he started writing down. He came up with 5 pretty quickly. And we looked at that and I said, gee, let's look at your circle of influence, the people you spend time with. Are they stupid? He was like, no, they're actually extremely smart. In fact, I get nervous around them. I said, well, would you think these smart people would spend their time and invest their energy around someone who they think is stupid? And he thought about it for a second. He's like, no, actually, no, I don't. I definitely know they wouldn't. Well, why are they spending their time with you then? It's not because you're stupid. It's because you're actually smart. Your frame of reference needs to change. And so what I had him do something that I'm going to have you do. And that is look at your frame of reference. For him, this was in the category of mind. What is your frame of reference and what is it coming with? Look at your past. A lot of times it's subconscious. His story, we had to dig it out of him a little bit, although it became clear to me right away. But we dug it out of him so he could see it. Now for you, if you're working on this by yourself, I want you to grab your journal, write down your 5 to thrive, and write your frame to reference in each section of the 5 to thrive. Don't skip them. If you can't find one, ask a friend. Ask somebody. Go to the author of your own story group and start posing questions. This is where you get to dig deep. We all set our thermostat at a certain level, but we don't rise above it unless we change our frame of reference. You can have all the tools, tricks, techniques, whatever it is. If your frame of reference hasn't changed, you won't change too. You'll always go down or up to that frame of reference set point, or that thermometer, as I like to say at times. So, example could be body. A couple days ago, I was actually having a conversation and I was tired. I mentioned it. And someone said, geez, something's got to give, Doug. Don't work out. Take a week off. Why would you even do that to yourself? Look, you got a brand new baby. You're moving houses. You started a new business. You have 4 other businesses that you're running. It's ridiculous. Take a week off. Give yourself a break. Relax. Come on. What they didn't get is my frame of reference was much different when it comes to terms of my body. For me, that just wasn't acceptable. That, if something's got to give, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but not my workouts. My frame of reference had changed. There is time to back off, and I'm a big proponent in that, but this wasn't one of them. My frame of reference was set at a certain level that was much higher than theirs when it comes to terms with my fitness and my body. So what I do, yeah, I got up the next morning, I went to the gym and I worked out. And I felt great. I felt full of energy after that workout. Now, the difference between me and them was my frame of reference. My frame of reference happened to be higher in that category. Now, there's other categories where my frame of reference I know is very low. And I'm always working on that. How can I raise that consciously? Or what other subconscious little tidbits are coming in? The little voice in our head that plays while we're in the shower, or things are going hard, right, in our lives. That little voice that says you can't do it, or this is good enough, right? Those things. What is that metabolic set point kind of in the mind? It's not metabolic. We use metabolic in the fitness industry. But what is that set point that you're going through in your mind and in your spirit that you go through? So that's your body. What about your soul? What's your frame of reference for what's acceptable? Maybe you're a Christian. So what's your frame of reference for what's acceptable in your morality or your practice? I know people that their frame of reference is I go to church every Sunday. I go to Bible study every week, and I read at the dinner table. That's it. That's just my frame of reference. That is what is acceptable to me. When I know other people who their spirituality is, I will meditate every morning, period. I know atheists, I know Jews, I know Muslims, I know Hindus, I know people from all different religious walks. They all have different frames of reference. So, what is their frame of reference? And is this the area you're skirting for one reason or another? In other words, is this the one area you're throwing to the side? Because if it is, I can tell you the rest of your holistic perspective is also going to suffer. What about relationships? There's certain people that have relationships. If you're in a relationship with a significant other, there's people that say, "Hey, this person's abusive, but that's okay because they only hit me every once in a while, and so yeah, but he's a nice guy, and he gets a good job, so it's all right." But you have somebody else that has a frame of reference like, "You touch me or you even speak to me badly, I'm out, I'm gone because my frame of reference or my standards are much higher." You see, this is two different people, two different frames of reference. One is way down low and one's up much higher. So, where's your frame of reference when it comes to relationships, when it comes to significant others, or when it comes to friends? I have standards for my friends, and my standards, I'm trying to constantly raise them. That doesn't mean I get rid of my old friends. It just means when I'm looking for new friends or meeting people that can potentially be in my inner circle, I want to make sure my frame of reference for what's acceptable is much higher. There's certain things that I just won't allow to happen, right? I won't allow somebody in my inner circle that abuses someone, who takes advantage of someone who's weaker for them. That is a standard that I just will not accept. But what's yours? What are your frames of reference in relationships? With coworkers, with your boss, with yourself? That's a big one. What's your standard for yourself? And how can you constantly raise that one? I'm always trying to do that. And your business. Right? Now, if you're an entrepreneur, you're working in a business, what's your frame of reference for what's acceptable? Are you shutting down your computer at 4:50 because you're off at 5? Or do you show up a little late, or you take a little longer break at lunch? See, my frame of reference is, as a business owner, is that's stealing. You're stealing from the person who's paying you. And you should certainly not get a raise because, to me, my frame of reference is somebody that works hard, stays longer, and they prove their results before accepting the value. They give value first. Me as a business owner, right? What's my frame of reference for what's acceptable? I have a certain income that is acceptable for my frame of reference, and I'm working on raising that. And the reason I'm working on raising that is I'm raising my standards, but I also want to provide for my family, my extended family, the gifts that I've had to be able to travel, education, be able to work on themselves, to have the lifestyle that I have, to be the author of their own story. I want to help them do that. So I raise my frame of reference, and things like money stories. These are other areas you can go into. But for right now, what I want you to do, pull out your journal. Please do this. You'll regret it if you don't. Actually, if your standard, your frame of reference is it's good enough just to listen to these and somehow it magically is going to help you. Well, it's not. So you raise your standard, raise your frame of reference to the point where you're actually doing the work. Do the work here. So grab your journal. Write out your 5 to thrive. Your mind, your body, your soul, your relationships, your business. Write out your current frame of reference of what's acceptable to you. Yeah, I work out every once in a while and I gain some weight. Yeah, it's no big deal. Does that serve you as the author of your own story? Probably not. So what could you do to change your frame of reference? I'm somebody who works out at least 4 times a week and treats my body like a temple. I really take care of myself, but maybe I also enjoy the finer things of life, like, certain restaurants or food, or whatever it is for you. I'm not asking you to be militant. I'm asking for your story, what it is for you. Now, once you have that new frame of reference, I want you to come up with at least 5 things you can verify that is actually true, that this is true about you or about who you're going to become. Now, if you can't come up with those 5 and it's hard, again, post in the Author of Your Own Story group on Facebook and we'll work with you. We'll help you. The people in the university, you guys already are way ahead of this program. So once you've done that, but I also want you to come up with role models. Who are some role models that you believe already have this frame of reference equal or above what you're trying to achieve? The new frame of reference you're changing. So these are role models. So for example, I'll use the mind. So my friend and client who thinks he's stupid. What are some frames of reference? He can look at intelligent people who are playing at a higher level, or at least he feels that are intelligent, and use them as role models to see what are they doing consistently. Now, when we did this for him, what he found out was that all of these people are either listening to or reading something to better their mind on a daily basis. This daily growth hack could be yours, right? That's great if you're taking action. So you need to take action. I keep saying that over and over again because I know what it's like to be out there. I used to be one that used to listen to audio and podcasts all the time and maybe not always do the work. Now I do. So what is your frame of reference, and who are those people that are at that standard or that frame of reference that you have? Make sure you write those down and figure out what they're doing. If you want bonus points and you want to take it a step further and really go after it, reach out to each of those people and tell them what it is you like about them. I really love the fact that you seem really smart, Kyle or Ginger or whoever that person is. I'm raising my frame of reference. You can tell them what it is. Share this podcast with them. I mean, how great would it make somebody feel to have a podcast like this shared to them or a video shared with them and saying, I was watching this and I think of you as the standard that I want to become. No one's going to put you down. They're going to be like, holy cow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And then ask them, how do you feel you got there? Like, what are your standards? And really ask them and interview them. Not only will you bring somebody closer into your relationship circle, into your inner circle, but you're going to raise your standards. You're going to raise your frame of reference just by working with them. That's it for me today. I won't belabor the point, but do the work. Make sure you're writing that down in your journal. And then remember, build your own inner circle. Build your tribe. Share this with at least 3 other people you think will benefit from it. Share it with them and bring them in. Bring the conversation in. And when you build your tribe, you build the people around you, that's where the magic happens. That's it for me today. Go out and be the author of your own story. I hope you enjoyed today's Daily Growth Hacks. Please put your comments right down below and remember to click subscribe. This way we can ensure that we're delivering these daily growth hacks right to you each and every day. On behalf of the whole team here, remember, go out and be the author of your own story.